Listen, after all these seasons of Love on the Spectrum, if y'all can still watch this show without smiling to yourself like a freaking weirdo, just get yourself checked out. And that's all I gotta say about that. Have a terrific day. All right, welcome to Taste Take. If you're new here, today we're breaking down Season 3 of Love on the Spectrum U.S. If that's something you're into, hit that subscribe button for your boy. From our regular Taste Takers, let's celebrate World Autism Awareness Day as a family. Okay, quick background here, and it's really going to be quick because like I said, we are now on Season 3 of Love on the Spectrum, and it's actually Season 5 if you count the 2 seasons in Australia. If you are brand new to this journey, the idea of the show is simple. We are following adults on the autism spectrum who are looking for love, many of which have never even been on a date before. So with the first 2 seasons taking place in Australia, Netflix went ahead and colonized that thing to make an American version. Bada bing, bada boom, we're up to Season 3 of this USA edition. But Netflix ain't out here just taking shows all willy-nilly, because in the words of the great prophet Denzel Washington, Netflix said they leaving here with something. And with this American version of Love on the Spectrum, that something was 5 Emmy Awards on 7 nominations between seasons 1 and 2. Very impressive if you ask me, and well deserved. So here we are, ready for Season 3 with some of our favorite returning cast members and some new ones who I think you're gonna love as much as I did. So let's start talking about these lovebirds. We gonna start with the returning cast, and if I could be selfish, I think I'm gonna start with my main man, Tanner. And with all the returning cast members, our producer, creator of the show, Kean O'Cleary, always asks them like, hey, what you been up to since last season?
It's good to see you. It's good to you too. I'm sorry to see your face, Kean.
Right away, we find out that a girl asked Tanner to be her boyfriend, and he said no. And he thought that Kean will be offended by that. This time around, his first date is with a girl named Cheyenne. And preparing for this date, we have the return of Tanner's mom and his sister, which I already loved from last season. When he meets up with Cheyenne, he tells her about all the animals he likes and literally every person on his job's payroll. So they're on this date, feeding goats, eating. At one point, she tells the producers that she thinks he's hot, but he tells her they should just be friends because she's kind of quiet and doesn't match his energy. When he's giving the recap of this date to his sister, she tells him, hey, not everyone likes to talk about the type of autism they have. And he's like, can you tell me why? One thing about this dude, Tanner, he loves to learn. And with those freaking manners, it's gold. While he's getting ready for his next date, Kean asks him, hey, what are the rules of dating? Tanner tells him, well, obviously I know you can't tickle them. And honestly, Tanner, I wish people followed that rule. Anyway, his second date is with a girl named Callie. And before he meets her, he tells us, I already know she's nice, because most people are nice. Like, Netflix don't even charge more for us to watch it, and y'all still don't watch it. When he's on this date with Callie, there's some silent moments between them, and he makes it a point to tell her, hey, I know I'm not talking right now, but I'm still having fun. Anyway, the Tanner and Callie story continues, but so far, so good. Plus, he called her smoking hot, so that's gotta be something. Next up, we have fan favorite James. Who can forget James? We've been with James since season 1. James is still living in Boston with his parents, my homies, June and Lawrence. He tells us he's been meeting a lot of people since the show and that the third time is the charm. He also wants us to know how much he dislikes pets or kids that are poorly trained. So now we know. And it wouldn't be a season of Love on the Spectrum if we didn't go speed dating. So that's exactly what James does. And if you think he's not out here yawning in these girls' faces, you got another thing coming. I think in the end, he liked 1 or 2 girls from the speed dating thing, and he marked it down on his little sheet and handed it in. The next day, he's debriefing the event with his family. In the middle of this debriefing, he gets a call from the speed dating folks, and they let him know that he didn't have any matches. And James says, it's okay. I've never had any matches at speed dating. And then there was a scene determined to break me. His mom's getting emotional hearing that he didn't have any matches. James says, it's okay. I've become accustomed to it. His mom says, well, I haven't. Yeah, We gotta move on. Okay, onward, because he does have another date coming up. While he's getting ready for this date, there's a nice scene here where he tells his dad, hey, turns out I'm not the only one that hates breadcrumbs in the butter. I guess he made some IG post about this and he was getting a lot of support in the comments on his stance. And look, I don't like breadcrumbs in the butter either, but I also don't know how to avoid that. Anyway, James's date is with a girl named Sonia, who he says looks okay. Sonia's got a nice phone purse, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that James tells her that she's got lipstick in her teeth. When she removes said lipstick from her teeth, he tells her, actually, you've got some discoloration on one of your incisors, and you should probably get that checked out. Thank you, James. Anyway, they're on this date, and I thought they were having a nice time, but when she asks him if he wants to go out again, he struggles to tell her he didn't feel a spark. She says she's used to rejection, so it's okay. It's very interesting to hear both of them dealing with rejection and I guess seeing it in a not negative way. You know? The last scene with James is when he has people over to celebrate his birthday. One of these people is a girl he went on a date with in season 1. So like that's another cool thing about this show. Yeah, it wasn't a love connection, but now they homies. Like, of course, it's a little harder for them to find love, but I would imagine it's not the easiest for them to find friends either. So it's just cool to see the homies sticking around. Anyway, the main thing to know about this birthday party, besides the fact that he almost lit his whole backyard on fire, is the fact that he invited a special lady to attend. Her name is Shelly. They met online, and she's British. So when all his other friends are getting ready to head out, he asked Shelly if she could stick around. Listen, if you know James, you know how much he struggles with like dead air in a conversation. Whereas Tanner will say, hey, I know it's a little quiet right now, but I'm still having fun. James just has to fill this time. And somehow in all of this, he starts leaning in for a smooch. And I guess this dude's been watching Hitch because he went 90 and my girl Shelly went in for that last 10. Then he asks her if they can officially call themselves boyfriend and girlfriend. She says yes, and he says, well, I'm going to give it my best effort. Good for you, James. Next up, we have another buddy of mine, Connor. We met Connor last season, and his mom is the one who inspired this intro.
This is now the 4th season of Love on the Spectrum that I've watched, so I already know what to expect. You will not catch me slipping and have me in my feelings. I am not new to this. I'm a journalist, and this is just another assignment. They broke me at 5 minutes and 27 seconds into episode 1.
Anyway, right away, we find out that Connor's mom set him up with a girl named Kate. Of course, immediately he is kind of raging about it, but he agrees to go on the date. I forget where they met up for this date, but Kate had to travel to Georgia because she lives in Nashville, where Connor said he once ate a whole chicken. Excellent. She tells him she loves him from the show, which he's shocked by. But by the end of the date, he thinks that Nashville's just a little too far and that they should just be friends. Getting ready for his next date, he's talking to his family about wanting kids. He's like, well, what if she can't have kids? Or worse, what if I can't have kids? I better go to a fertility clinic. Slow down, bro. We're not at tier 15 yet. His date is with a girl named Georgie. Georgie hates croutons and people watching loud videos in public. Girl, literally same. As their date winds down, she tells him, I wish it could stay sunny longer so we can play more. But I guess all days must come to an end. Connor's like, whoa, nicely worded. Is that Shakespeare? She's like, no, it's just Georgie. Very good. They both agree that they want to see each other again. When Connor gets home, he tells his family, all right, look, everyone just calm down and relax. But the date was great. She aroused my intellect and other things. Take it easy, Connor. Also, I'll be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that this dog Coco watches him leave every time. I'm obsessed. Anyway, this second date is going swimmingly. This is where Kian tells her, hey, I think he likes you. She's like, yeah, I know. I can see it in his cheeks. By the end of the date, Connor asks Georgie if she'd like to meet his family. She says yes, and she'd like him to meet hers. Anyway, naturally, this is going to cause Connor to kind of freak out a little bit, so he goes home and tells his family, look, Georgie's about to pull up, but you know the rules. No acting crazy and no crazy stories. But it's all fine. When Georgie comes over, they're all super comfortable. She says the thing I like most about Connor is that he laughs at my jokes. They ask Georgie, like, so where do you see this going? She says, maybe Florida. Maybe Florida. That's where it's going. After they eat, Connor takes her on a walk outside. He's showing her where his guest house is going to be. This is where she gives him that keychain, and he's so moved by this gesture, he asks her if he can kiss her. She says, what about on the cheek? Then he asks her, would it be okay if we actually kissed? And she says yes. They both have their first kiss. This dude, Connor, is over the freaking moon. So much so that my girl, Georgie, has to ask him, you good? She is excellent. And I hope these two are still going strong in season 4. Okay, as we round out our returning cast members, I'm going to end with 2 couples. The first being Danny and Adan. We met Danny and Adan in season 2. And here we are now with them having dated for a whole year. However, their relationship has come to a crossroads. They still very much like each other, but Danny thinks that there's a lack of intimacy in the relationship. So far, they've only kissed, because Adan doesn't believe in sex before marriage because of his faith. The first date we see them on this season is in celebration of their anniversary. This is where Adan gives her that nice memory book, and freaking Danny made him his own animation, but the shit looked like where they was already at. Like, what kind of sorcery is this? It's like, am I watching it now and in the animation? I will never get over the fact that Danny made him a Can We Smash cartoon, because that's literally what it was. It was a pitch deck for them to smash. Imagine if someone gave you this is a cartoon version of us smashing. This could be us in real life. She tells him she wants to go deeper into second base. He's like, you mean like scuba diving? No, bro. It means she wants you to dive into that. That was about to be a little much. Anyway, when they finally get to talk about their dilemma, he tells her, look, I just don't feel comfortable with sex outside of marriage. And she tells him, well, I am disappointed, but I respect your boundaries. And she tells him that they're just going to have to be friends if he's not going to budge on his boundaries. Now she's crying and she wants to know, what's a relationship without intimacy? I don't know, ask the president. But don't you worry, because we're going to get into him later in the video. Okay, last but not least of our returning cast, it would not, it could not, and it should not be a season of Love on the Spectrum if we don't check in on Abby and David. Kian asks Abby, so Abby, what's been going on? She tells him, look, bro, I've been making scarves. I went to the Bahamas. My grandma died, and I'm still with David. Thank you, Abby. Very happy to see this relationship still going strong. There's a lot of conversations between these two about getting married and where they want to live. There's a scene where they're in the pool talking about living closer to San Diego Zoo. Then she tells him that they're going to adopt a kid. Or, and I quote, I can pop one out if I stop taking those birth pills. Anyway, these two are always on an adventure. Here, they're riding on a boat somewhere. This is where they got that charcuterie board. I'm afraid I'm going to need one of those immediately. Other Abby quotables with no context. Are Bert and Ernie a gay couple or just roommates? I think they could be both. The main scenes with them are around them celebrating their 3-year anniversary. And Abby's mom remembers how hard things were when she was 10. And now here they are celebrating a 3rd-year anniversary at a wine tasting. She just must be very proud, you know. Anyway, these two close their season saga the only way they know how. And if you watch my season 2 video, you know that I said,
when you guys get to the last scene of this show, in episode 7, listen. No. I need you to listen. I ain't seen a reality show moment like that in all my days.
Well, that was in reference to their trip to Africa and them singing, Can You Feel the Love Tonight, as the season came to a close. Now you listen to me and you listen to me good. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but the song she wrote for David this season is even more epic than that. I have no words. They made the whole season with that one scene right there. And I guess those were words. Okay, this season we only have 2 new cast members, but I think they're both excellent. I would watch a whole season with just these 2. So let me start by introducing you to Madison, who's from Tampa, Florida. We learned that Madison was a very destructive kid. She wasn't even talking until she was 4 years old. She was destroying things all over the house, ripping stuff up, and she had bad pica. Pica is when It's like an eating disorder where you're eating and chewing things that are not food. And when you see Madison, this stuff is so hard to believe because of how like mild-mannered she is. But she explains that when she was a kid and she discovered beads, it was like a shield from her. And when she found beads, she never destroyed anything in the house ever again. She also has a huge doll collection, and each one of them has a very extensive backstory. Quick shout out to the World War II veteran. Thank you for your service. She says these dolls are her best friends and they just bring her comfort. Kian asks Madison if she could change anything about her life, what would it be? She tells him she would only change the fact that she's single and not in love. Notice what she didn't say. So as Madison prepares for her first date, she spends some time with Jennifer Cook. If you've been watching Love on the Spectrum, you know that Jennifer Cook is also on the spectrum, but she was only diagnosed in 2011. And now she spends her time working with people like Madison on building relationships. And one thing Madison wants to know is how many dolls she can bring on the date so she could feel safe. And she definitely needed them for her first date with Brandon. It was clear that Brandon was not comfortable with the situation. And I don't think it was Madison. It was more so the environment. And it was really cool to see that how clear it was that he was not comfortable, but the producers kept checking in on him, asking if he was okay, and asked him if he wanted to sit outside, which they eventually did. And he was feeling better. He still wanted to use his noise canceling headphones so that played the white noise, which then he had to take out each time she said something. But in all, I think he felt more comfortable outside. This is also where Madison tells him how much she loves soda and describes herself as a, quote, coke addict. Just maybe you could word it a little different. Needless to say, at the end of this date, Madison tells him that they're not a romantic match, but she wishes him the best, which is exactly what Jennifer Cook told her to do. She tells Kian that it did break her heart that he wasn't as outgoing as she was, but there's plenty of fish in the sea. And her next fish was a much better catch. We got Tyler, who's from Plant City, and if I had to bet, just came from winning a duel. She likes that he's a DJ, loves country music, and gives back to the autism community. He also knows which chord every country song is played in. That is beyond impressive. He also could be making it all up, but sounded legit. And she's totally into it. She tells him how much better this date is than some of the other dates she's been on, including one where a guy tried to get her to play Spin the Bottle. Come on, bro. Spin the bottle with one person? Can you just politely ask for the makeout or wait for the right moment in Titanic like the rest of us? Anyway, of course they agreed to a second date, and that second date goes so well, by the end of it, she asks him, does he want to meet her family? Does he want to be her boyfriend? And does he want to smooch? To which he replies, yes, yes, and hell yes. So now that things are official, Tyler pulls up at her house to meet her family, which is a big deal because she's never brought a boy home. This dude pulls up and they're like, hello, Tyler. It's nice to meet you. Heard a lot about you. And he's like, well, I love your daughter, so go off, Tyler. And that's about the last words you hear out of him, because these two spend the next 24 to 48 hours making out as if someone came down and told them it's the only way to breathe.
I'm gonna have to get the hose out on you two.
Anyway, Tyler takes a rare smooch break to ask her parents if he can talk to them in private. Here I am watching this like ain't no way he about to propose to this thing, but no. He wants their permission to take Madison to Universal Studios. Again, I ask, if you watch this show without smiling to yourself like a freaking weirdo, just get checked. Okay, all aboard for our last but certainly not least new cast member, my buddy Perry from Boston, Massachusetts.
I mean, there's like 8 billion people in the world. Somebody's gotta be the one for me.
And if you know one thing about Perry, you know that she loves trains, specifically the T train that runs in Massachusetts. Perry lives with her mom, who's battling breast cancer. Her father passed away when she was younger, and she has an older sister who's also on the spectrum. Let's just take a beat here for a second. Everyone has their different challenges in life. And I'm not saying Perry and her family feel sorry for themselves, but you have to admit that some challenges are just greater than others. So I'm just gonna take 2 seconds. I just implore you guys to have a moment of gratitude. It just must be a lot for this family. And they're not talking about it in their scenes. They're there to help Harry find love. And I don't know, I guess When you're out there in the world, like, you just never know what kind of challenges people go home to. So perhaps like a challenge to just move with a little bit more grace. This scene kind of just inspired me to do that. And I'll be cheesy. I don't care. Like, it could be cheesy, but I just have to have this like taste take moment of gratitude. So thank you for indulging me. Okay, back to Perry. Now, she's dated boys before, but she's realizing that she may like girls more. She's out here looking for her Princess Charming. And her mom's out there trying to remind her that it's okay if your date doesn't like trains as much as you do. This girl, Perry, started a train fan club. Listen, talking about cheesy though, I have always loved people who love a thing like this. I don't know what it is, but I like when people have a thing, even if it's like a fandom, like, of course, it's just nice to see. And she's like so into it. She can tell you what kind of horn it is just from hearing the trains passing. She knows the lines, I don't know. It's just nice when people have things that they're passionate about. That's all I'm saying. So now she's getting ready for her date, and her mom's taking photos like any embarrassing mom would. Perry's date is with Tina. Tina's dad also died. She tells Perry about the Dead Dads Club, which is a hell of an intro. Now, when we meet Tina, we see her using a walking stick. She's not blind. It's just that her brain can't fully process what she's seeing. Apparently, a lot of people that have that are on the autism spectrum. Perry was diagnosed with autism at age 3, but Tina wasn't diagnosed until she was 22. And if you watch my season 2 video, I kind of explained some of those disparities between diagnosis of boys and girls.
Basically, a lot of the tools that they use to diagnose autism are designed to identify autistic characteristics that are more common in boys. Only recently did the differences in how the signs of autism differ from boys and girls start showing up in the research. So for ages, experts thought that boys, specifically white boys, were more likely to be autistic than any other group.
Tina says she doesn't even say Asperger's anymore because of the Nazi. And in case you were wondering, she's talking about Elon Musk, who does indeed have Asperger's. One conversation that these two had that I thought was very cool was when Tina was telling Perry that she doesn't like to tell people her interests. And Perry doesn't understand why, because she's like, no, I tell everyone that I love trains and princesses, and I don't care how childish it is because these things bring me joy. She describes herself as unapologetically autistic, and that I find to be excellent. Perry also talks about how some people told her to repent when she came out as bi, and she just blocked them and told them to leave out of the rear of the train. It's just inspiring, and we can all learn something about staying true to yourself and like ignoring haters. It's all very nice. The date goes very well, and by the end of it, Perry asks Tina if she would like a kiss, and these two both have their first kiss. Warning, warning, cuteness overload, because after they share these first kisses, Tina tells Perry, well, I was gluten-free today, just in case we kissed and you had like a peanut allergy and I killed you with my kiss. It's like you could watch the show for the same price that you already paid for all the other shows. It's not extra. Isn't that crazy? Kian asks Perry how she feels, and this girl takes some lingo out of my playbook, and she tells him, well, I hate to be cheesy, but I kissed a girl and I liked it. Just another reason why we love Perry. So what's my take? Look, I will never not love this show, but I will say this is probably the season I enjoyed the least, and it still has some of the best reality TV show moments available. It's no surprise why it's getting recognized by the Emmys, even though for another year, there are no black people. What the hell, Ken? I thought we were making some progress. Why didn't you bring my girl Journey back? Anyway, not a lot of people talk about this show, and I imagine it could be a bit polarizing. I respect that argument, but a lot of the people that I talk about on this show are doing things that I would imagine their families never thought they could. And that's in large part due to the show. This show, to many people, is aspirational. Take Madison, for example. She only signed up to join the show because of seeing Abby and David and realizing that's what she wants. She probably had never seen anyone like her on TV falling in love. Like, for those reasons alone, I find value in the show, and I hope that they continue to create it for seasons to come. I learned so much in covering this show the last couple of years, and I'm always happy to share it with you guys. So again, another freaking perk is that this random YouTube dude is learning a lot of stuff. And in the interest of education, a quick aside. Now, you may not know this, but we're living in some strange political times. It's no secret that this administration is doing everything in its power to suppress, destroy, erase all things DEI. And as a black dude in America, it's easier for me to see the ways in which the things that help me and my people are being targeted. But it's important to know it is not just different races or genders that are being targeted, but all marginalized groups are being affected. If I could be more specific, on February 13th, Donald Trump signed an executive order saying that his administration was creating a commission to attempt to lower the prevalence of autism and other health conditions in the United States. The proposed plan refers to autism and other disabilities as a dire threat to the American people and our way of life. The order also refers to autism as a disease. To be very clear, autism is something that people are born with and that can't and probably shouldn't be changed. Now, if you'll allow me to get technical for a little bit, it's actually a developmental disability, and disabilities are a natural part of human diversity. This is not a disease. This does not require a cure. Am I the only one that watched X-Men 3: The Last Stand? Look, this is just another thing where you guys gotta go out there and vote every single year. And then you're probably gonna be like, why are you getting all political? But this is important stuff. Because besides the executive order, this dude, Donald Trump, got the CDC trying to figure out if vaccines cause autism. A claim that has been scientifically debunked no less than a quadrillion times. And we're out here doing new studies for no reason other than the fact that RFK Jr. is an idiot. Just a waste of everyone's time. Anyway, the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network posted about this. And as I do in my other videos, I will link them in the description to this video, where you can read more and learn about how you can support them and their causes. Love on the Spectrum U.S. Season 3 comes exclusively to Netflix on April 2nd. And that's a lovely day because it is also World Autism Awareness Day. So very nice touch there, Netflix. Another season in the books. Let me do anything. As always, thanks for checking out Tate's Take. If you enjoy the video, make sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. In the comments, listen, every time I talk about this show, I'm like, you guys ain't watching it. But I mean, I'm sure some of you guys are watching it. So you guys let me know what you think about this season. I think there's a lot more love this season. A lot more connections working out. So maybe the show's helping. Gotta be helping. Thanks for the time, yo. Peace. Freaking Trump, man. He's breaking everything. It's so crazy. But it's important to know it's not just like minorities and women getting affected. So hope this helps. One of the most fire parts, I didn't even get to talk about this, but when they go wine tasting and Abby tries, I think the first wine, and they're like, Abby, what do you think about the wine? She's like, it's very interesting. I'm just not interested. And I think I'm gonna start using that in the wild. So if you hear it, mind your business.